Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my wife's family a large portion of her life insurance money? I lost my wife unexpectedly, and it has been one of the most difficult times in my life. She left me with $200,000 in life insurance, and I used $20,000 of it to cover the funeral expenses. My wife's family is demanding a large portion of the remaining life insurance money. Her parents want to use it to rebuild their home in Florida that was destroyed in a recent hurricane. The thing is, they didn't have insurance, and I don't think it's fair for me to cover their losses with the money that my wife left me. My wife's brother also wants a portion of the money to pay for his college tuition. While I sympathize with his situation, I don't think it's my responsibility to fund his education. My wife left this money to me for a reason, and it's up to me to decide how to use it. When I told my wife's family that I couldn't give them the money they were asking for, they accused me of being selfish and not caring about their situation. They said that my wife would have wanted them to have the money and that I was going against her wishes. I feel terrible for my wife's family, but I also have my own financial responsibilities. I have bills to pay and want to make sure that I can take care of myself in the future. I don't want to put myself in a difficult financial situation by giving away a large portion of the life insurance money. This is an opportunity for me to pay off my debts and buy the dream home me and my wife always wanted. Maybe I am being selfish, but I feel like I am not in the wrong. Me and my wife never really discussed what to do with life insurance money, other than the occasional joke of buying the dream home we want or a starter one. I miss her so terribly. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my wife's family a large portion of her life insurance money? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Death and money can bring out the worst in people. I'm sorry for your loss. I can't say it better than this. Not the a-hole. It's selfish of them to put you through this. Perfect add-on. Look, if your wife wanted her parents and brother money, she would have left them money. She did not, because she wanted you to have it. You paid for her whole funeral. None of them did. Sorry for your loss. But this is your money. Shame on them trying to guilt you. Also, everyone in Florida knows to have homeowners insurance. That is their fault. Not the a-hole. She left you with the money, not them. If she wanted them to have some of it, she should have put it in a will or agreement of some sort to divide the money amongst her chosen parties. Yes, every life insurance policy I've ever had multiple places for beneficiaries, with what percentage you want to go to each party. 1. If you live in Florida and don't have a hurricane insurance, you're not smart. 2. It is absolutely not your responsibility to fund your brother's education. 3. What your wife would or would not have wanted is irrelevant unless there's a will involved. Otherwise, you knew her best, and them using her memory to guilt trip you is freaking disgusting. I would be livid. 4. It's your money to do whatever you want to do with it. Period. You do what you need to do to make your life easier or better while you grieve your wife however you need to. If needed, block contact to the rest of them until they can mind their own financial business. I am so sorry for your loss. I'm married, and I can't even imagine. There aren't words. It's absolutely disgusting to me that her family and yours are acting like nothing better than vultures in the wake of your loss, when they should be supporting you. Utterly reprehensible and selfish. Not a-hole by any stretch of the imagination. 2.5. It was not your late wife's responsibility to fund her brother's education either. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not sharing my inheritance with my sister since she chose to be adopted? I, 30 male, lost my mom when I was 5. Despite being so young, I had a very vivid and treasured memories of my mom and did not take to my dad dating a year after her death well. My dad recognized that he knew this would be hard for me, but said that as the parent/adult he knew what was best. Even it didn't seem that way at first, and that it thanked me in the long run. Not long after that, he married my stepmom Lucy, and when I began to act out over it, my dad said that parenting alone was hard, and that my sister Jessica, 28 female, needed a mom. My dad even got my maternal grandparents to tell me that everything would be fine, and how I needed to be a good boy. That was enough to get me to behave during the wedding, but once Lucy moved in and started redecorating, I started acting out again. My dad had had enough, and just started punishing me whenever I acted out or made Lucy upset, as well as used the "Jessica isn't acting out like this" line. And to be honest, Jessica was easily pleased, and wasn't alive long enough to have the same attachment to our mom as I did. It really upset me when Jessica started calling Lucy Mom, And it really ticked me off when Lucy started referring to me as her son, though I always corrected it when she tried that around me. It got worse when I was 8 and Lucy had her own kids, because then my dad and her started pushing for adoption. Jessica obviously had no problems with it, but I refused. My dad had my maternal grandparents come in again and tell me that adoption wouldn't be that bad, but I still refused. Lucy and my dad pushed for the adoption anyway, but thankfully the judge listened to my feelings in private room and denied it. After that, therapy started, but it didn't last, so they also tried the, since you don't want to be a part of this family, you don't get X or you can't come do Y. But I was too stubborn for that method to work on me. The only one who I felt was on my side was my paternal aunt, who kept sticking up for me whenever she'd see what Lucy and my dad were trying to do. So when I turned 18, I went straight to her. It was when I became a legal adult that my maternal grandparents confessed that they were never okay with the situation. But my dad threatened to keep me and my sister away if they didn't show support. I was furious. So furious that I had my surname legally changed to my mom's maiden name, as I wanted nothing to do with my dad. I'd only ever really talked to my paternal aunt. Fast forward to now, and my grandma has passed away while grandpa died in 2020. And according to their will, only their legal grandchildren is to split a $250,000 inheritance. And since Jessica is legally Lucy's daughter now, all she got was a framed photo of my mom and a letter. Jessica doesn't think it's fair and thinks I should share, but I told her to get money from her legal grandparents. Now, even my aunt thinks I'm being a bit harsh. So, am I the a-hole? Edited to add, because someone asked. It had been 2 years since the last time she'd spoken to either of my grandparents, while she frequently called and interacted with Lucy's parents. Jessica was never close to my mom's side of the family because she'd rather spend time with Lucy's family and/or didn't want to hurt their feelings. When Lucy moved in, she and my dad took down all of my mom's pictures and got rid of her things. I wasn't even allowed to keep any pictures in my room, and I would catch heat if I tried to celebrate my mom's birthday, mourn on the anniversary for death, and get punished if I didn't celebrate Mother's Day the way Lucy wanted me to. So yeah, she wasn't the saint of a woman who stepped in when my mom couldn't to me. I don't blame Jessica for choosing to be adopted now. I'm angry at her belief that she should get any money from my grandparents, despite never showing an interest in having a relationship with them once she was 18 plus. They reached out numerous times, but she never bothered, yet has the belief that she's entitled to their money? That is what ticked me off. My mom had a sister who also had kids. I'm not getting the full $250,000. No, I don't expect anyone from Lucy's side to leave me anything, nor would I demand Jessica to share. It would be completely hypocritical. Not the a-hole. Interesting how she only wants to be family now money is involved. She hadn't even spoken to them in 2 years. Given her age at her adoption, and how many years passed prior to her grandparents' death, and the explicit wording of legal grandchildren, I have no doubt that this was crafted after she was adopted, and was very specifically worded as such. Her grandparents knew what they were doing, and where they wanted the money to go. The last time the will was updated/altered was back in 2017. Will you be in Lucy's family's will? If not, will your sister give you part of her portion? Somehow, I think the answer to both questions is no. She can wait till she gets her own inheritance. Not the a-hole. I don't expect to be, nor will I raise a fuss if I'm not. It's honestly disgustingly hypocritical to me. I honestly doubt that Jessica would share anything that she inherits from Lucy's family with me. So there's your answer. Do you expect to inherit from your father or paternal grandparents? Nope. I said goodbye to all that when I went no contact and changed my surname. Am I the a-hole for telling my half-sister she was never entitled to anything my dad owned? My dad died when I was 6. He wrote out a will where he left instructions of what he wanted me to have after he was gone. A keychain my grandparents bought him that he had for more than 20 years. His dog tags from his time in the military. This bracelet that he got when he became my dad. A little bobblehead toy for his brother who died in the military, a lighter that has been passed down through multiple generations of his family, and an old school pocket watch also handed down through the family. My mom remarried after Dad died. My half-sister is now 8 and my half-brother is 5. My mom, however, decided she was not going to honor my dad's wishes. I have his dog tags, but she gave my half-sister the keychain, and she wants to give my half-brother the lighter and a pocket watch. I begged Mom not to. But my half-sister has the keychain now and she was so happy. I told her I didn't like that she had it, and I would like it back because it was my dad's. She ignored me and said we shared. And she was so happy I shared part of my dad with her. I told her that wasn't my choice. Mom told me I had a nasty attitude about it, and the last couple of years have been intense. My half-sister keeps showing off the keychain and talking proudly about how I shared it with her. Then she lost it once, and I told my mom she was evil for giving it away, when it was so easily lost by my half-sister. My half-sister was really annoying last week and kept bringing up the keychain and the fact it was my dad's and I share it with her. I told her I didn't. She told me of course I did, because she has it. I told her I never shared it, that I never would have shared it with her nor my half-brother, because they are not my dad's kids, and he would not have wanted them to have it. She told me it should be hers because we're sisters. I got so mad. I told her she was never entitled to anything my dad owned, and having that didn't mean I wanted to be her sister, and that mom was an a-hole for giving it to her. She started crying and said we're sisters, and we should share stuff like that, and I shared my dad with her. Mom was furious with me and called me a bully, and I told her I didn't care. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not a-hole at all. Can you talk to your paternal grandparents? If this was legit in a will, then someone should get you a freaking lawyer. They both have Alzheimer's, so they can't help me. Do you live near a law school? Most have clinics for people with low incomes. Realistically, you probably can't do a lot till you're an adult, unless they help you get emancipated, but it doesn't hurt to get a consult. Given your mother's theft and a general breakdown of your relationship with her, have you talked to your school counselors? Some are awful, but some may actually be able to point you to resources to assist you with your rights. I have not. Our school counselor is way too deep into the religious stuff. It always makes talking to her awkward and not very useful. I don't know about law schools. I don't think so. Not the a-hole. Steal your stuff back from your siblings and send all your dad's things to a member of your dad's family for safekeeping until you move out. Make sure you set things up with that relative ahead of time and that they understand to keep it a secret. If you can't do a family member, use a friend. If your mom or half-siblings accuse you of stealing from them, deny it and say they must have lost it again. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to help pay for my child's university fees? It's been one hell of a month, so some things I say might not make sense. I'm 40 male, recently found out that I have a child who we'll call Jane, 18 female. I wasn't convinced at first, but everything checks out. When she came to me, she told me that she just wanted to get to know her father. I wasn't really interested in a relationship, but felt it would be cruel and unnecessary to deny her this. We talked for a while, and I didn't really say much of it, but it was interesting. So after we talked for a while, I asked about her mother Grace, 40 female, and she gives me her number. I really didn't want to have to call her, but I needed answers. So Grace and I decided to meet up at a local coffee shop. We have some small talk for a while before I ask her why she never told me. Silence. So I ask again. More silence. I asked a third time and she told me that she just didn't want anything to do with me and wanted to get back at me. I point out that all she did deprived the child of a father, and she agrees. I then ask her when did she tell Jane, and she says at age 12. So I get confused, and I'm wondering why she only contacts me now. So I ask her why. Grace says that she was angry that I wasn't present in her life. We talk some more about life before we say goodbye and go our separate ways. I don't ask Jane why she didn't call sooner because she was a hurting teen and that's life. So Jane and I spent the next week bonding. Then she sits down and asks to talk. I say sure and sit down. She then goes on to explain about how difficult her life was living in a single-parent household and how money was always tight. Long story short, she asks me to pay for her university fees. Now, I am well off enough to pay for it without struggle. So I ask to see her grades, and to be truly honest, it's meh. Not bad, but nothing to give a second look. I tell her that I'll think about it, and she says thank you. So here's where I might be the a-hole. I don't want to pay for the fees. Because in reality, she is just a stranger with my DNA, and I feel like Jane might just be using me. I mean, she has had 6 years to form a relationship with me, and is only doing now that she needs something. I just want to wash my hands clean off her and Grace, and move on with my life. I don't want Jane to think I'm her financial lifeline or anything like that. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Added to add some stuff because of the comments. 1. I did a DNA test. It was what she wanted me to do to prove herself. 2. Child support laws are different in my country, in the sense that A. You can't claim and claim child support if you had the option to claim it. B. Child support can't be settled after 18, unless the father knowingly disappeared, and that would take months to process, let alone prove. 3. Jane had the ability to contact me. I don't know how much influence her mother had on her choice, but I do know that I was a dial away. Not the a-hole, but neither is Jane. Grace is a tremendous a-hole to both of you. I do encourage you to seriously consider contributing to Jane's university expenses. Not to say you should or should not contribute, just seriously and honestly consider it. Think about her position, no father in her life, and a mother who won't answer any questions she has for the first 12 years. Then who knows what context Grace gave her when she finally did tell her. I'll bet she never said, "I never told your father about you because I wanted to spite him, and I didn't care what effect that had on your childhood," despite that being the truth. Instead, she undoubtedly made you into the bad guy. Jane had no way of knowing better, and you should be sympathetic to that. I don't think you're the a-hole no matter what you decide. Just don't do anything to spite Jane. She's had enough of that already. There is no reason Opie should need to feel sympathetic or be an a-hole for not being sympathetic here. Jane, while yes, is his bio daughter, is really a stranger and only really reaching out for cash. No a-holes here. She's a kid who just met her dad. University is the biggest thing on her mind, and she says dad has funds. So why not ask? I wouldn't if I was her, but I get it. And you're not the a-hole for thinking, this is weird. If it was a year or two from now after y'all have caught up, and so formed a bond, maybe. It also sucks as you didn't get a shot, but may have just gained a daughter. If it was me, I would have said let's reset, and not have this convo now as we are strangers. Let's become familiar, and we can talk way down the road on this topic. But yeah, rock and a hard place for sure.